And of course, we will look forward to innovating to succeed together. But most importantly for the schools, yes, digital assessments, the mocks. And this year we provided access to scripts for the schools who are already with us for curriculum. I've already sent emails, but if you want any more information on that, feel free to reach out. And for those who were part of the school orientation sessions in the last week, you all would have already seen this slide, but I've added a few new things as well. So tomorrow we're going to be part of Chocolate Redefining Classroom session. Next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got some professional development teacher training happening. Then there is a session by Dan Bray, who's our Director of Assessment, Innovation and Transformation. He's coming next Friday to do a couple of sessions. You will all receive invites for that. And on Saturday, there'll be a drop-in clinic for our existing schools as well as the new schools who've come on board. One of the things that I'm really happy to share is also our earliest program has really caught on in Sri Lanka. So we've got a number of schools coming on board. So this is also to support them. And we'll be at the book fair as well. In October, we've got more workshops coming with Abigail Barnett. School surveys, yes, I know we are a little not so happy to fill a lot of surveys, but like Vinay said, if you all fill the survey, it'll actually help us to serve you much, much better. Then, of course, more professional development training, plus focus group discussions and resources workshops. And in November, we'll have specific subject cafes coming up, as well as a community meet. And for the corporates and the universities over here, we'll be launching our lingua skills as well very soon. So that's just a glimpse of what's coming up for the current year, but trust me, we are here to turn things around. And for those of you who know me, I will make that happen with your support. When I walked in the morning, I mean, around 9-ish, most of the teachers here, the school heads, the fathers were blessing me. I've got a lot of prayers from yesterday to today. Thank you for that. And the school heads were all wishing me luck, me and my team. I need that. And more than anything else, you all have welcomed me as a member of your family. Me, Geeta, Dhananjaya. Thank you for that. And for our story to continue, we need your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zara Ansari and Mr. Vinay Sharma. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the way you can move forward with Cambridge in Sri Lanka. Let's have a good round of applause as we wish all of you all the very best. Now on to the final segment of today's event, the Fireside Chat. The final conversation is a fireside chat where the panel explores Cambridge international education in empowering learners and enriching futures. And now let me cordially invite the panelists as the stage is getting set. We have Mr. Dan Fernando, Coordinating Principal, Wycherley International School. Let's give a good round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And I also cordially invite Ms. Sarah Hussain, Principal, Ilma International Girls School. Ms. Banumabe Sekaru, Director, Coordinating Principal, OKI International School. Ms. Zara Ansari, Country Head, Sri Lanka and Maldives, Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And to moderate this fireside chat, I cordially invite Ms. Bhutni Fernando, Program Coordinator of Bridge to Peace Schools, and also IGCSE Geography teacher to conduct and moderate this fireside chat. Over to you, Bhutni.
All right. Long morning. Thank you very much for staying with us. We've learned so much this morning. And welcome you all to the panel discussion on Cambridge education, empowering learners and enriching futures. As we know, education is not only about passing exams, it's also about building skills that help learners thrive in life. The Cambridge curriculum has played a vital role in Sri Lanka by balancing international standards with local relevance. empowering our students to be future-ready, holistic individuals who can contribute both globally and locally. I, for one, can vouch for this as a Cambridge alumni myself. Today, we're joined by a distinguished panel of school leaders and education experts who have been formally introduced. They will share their insights and experiences, and over the next 30 to 40 minutes, we'll explore success stories from our schools and how Cambridge fosters both academic and also personal excellence and what future of education in Sri Lanka might look like. So to start this discussion, this is for all four of you. Our theme today is empowering learners, enriching futures. From your perspective, what does that mean in the practice within Sri Lanka schools today? Ms. Dano?
If you take today's era of education, unlike our days, our primary grades or our schooling years, with the global challenges and AI emerging and also the traits, if you take up the present generation's qualities, their traits, teachers in today's schools are not having any chance for teaching. So they are not doing teaching, but definitely our teachers are compelled to coach the learners to learn. So nowadays, it is the child-centric learning, that is learner-centric learning. As private schools, we are adapting our education systems in Sri Lanka. Yeah, I think Sarah also can add to that point.
Right. So if I was to break this question into three, empowering learners first. As school leaders, I think what we really want to do with empowering our school learners is to ensure that we give them the open platform or we give them the skills that they require to become learners for life. Because when they leave our school gates, it's not only the academics that they're going to carry out with them. So that is what it really means for us to empower our learners. So how we can put this into practice in our schools basically is to give space for the child, for the student's voice, by students feeling that they can discuss their problems, sharing their ideas, and that they are heard. They will definitely become confident young learners. And if we are to talk about having enriched futures, so once they become lifelong learners, we are training them to face life and not just board exams. So that is what we as educators will look at.
Well, if I read something, you asked about empowering in Sri Lanka. My two kids were initially brought up in Australia. For the first 5 years, they did not learn anything much, but just their soft skills. And when they came to Sri Lanka at the first interview at the school, if they did the usual interview, both kids would have gone as special need kids and would not have been taken in. But fortunately, the principals of both schools knew me, and the interview was only with me and not the kids. So, but now they're in grade 10 and grade 8, and I'm very happy to say that they get average marks of over 75. And in fact, when they came, they didn't sing Sinhalese, but they're quite confident in that as well. But whereas I see in Sri Lanka, from the time a kid is born, parents are thinking which school to put into, because at the end of the day, the school which you go sometimes does matter on the company you get to work in. And then after that, when it comes to grade 3 or 4, it's the Shishat scholarship. And then when they finish that, once they start about grade 7, then it's the O levels and the A levels. So unfortunately, that competition comes within us as well. We as educators are to be blamed for that as well. But I believe the universe has enough for everyone. And if we can try to reduce that competition, then we will enrich the lives of children much more. And I'm hoping, we have just launched the early years of Cambridge. And I believe that curriculum will definitely give this to Sri Lanka and make our children's lives more enriched. That's my hope.
Thank you, Mr. Dan. And Ms. Zara.
The experts have already spoken, but what I could add on is whilst we empower the learners, the educators themselves also need to be empowered. So that's where we come in. We do care for the learners, the students, the whole, all of them, but it's also that entire ecosystem that we are creating. So that's why I spoke so much about professional development and investments in teachers. That's why we take so much of efforts to do the workshops. We give the best to the schools, to the educators, then they are able to give the best to the students. So back when I showed that slide about inclusive education, something that I realized, I think during my visit to St. Nicholas, that was a special request about special needs. And then I realized we don't have such a thing in Sri Lanka, but we have the expertise with Cambridge. So why not, make that workshop, make it for Sri Lanka, and then Dr. Akash came, he did it, and then he's now started doing it across South Asia. Hopefully it will global as well. So that's how we help empower our learners and enrich their futures.
I mean, adding to the inclusive education, I come from LPF schools. We also have inclusive learners in our school as well, and Cambridge has helped us partner with them and also give them that platform to go forward, sit for their O-level exams and sit for their A-level exams, wherein if you follow like a traditional classroom environment, they won't be able to have that power to go and represent themselves. And my first question to Ms. Danum is, if you could share a success story from your school or community where Cambridge education has made a clear difference in a student's journey.
Yes, with me, OKI being a school with 27 years of education experience in Sri Lanka's private school sector, we have definitely sent out hundreds of alumni to the society, to the different parts of the world. But if I am to pick one of the most inspiring most recent alumna, she's Ayesha Gamage. So this girl has been performing in the aesthetic side in the OKI the network, that is mainly she was schooling in Wattala main school. And she had this passion for dancing. So during her years, she was the center of attraction in any puja dance we had in any event. And also she was a trained ballet, I would say. Then Ayesha was learning in the science stream, Cambridge science stream. She did science for her ordinary level examination. When she came to AS level, she could not perform very well at the withdrawal examination. So that was a kind of a barrier for her. But then she sternly asked, she was very ambitious, she said, no, I want to do science, and somehow got our permission to apply for AS examination through school without being a private candidate. So we gave that chance, and she could pass AS and A2, completed her studies, and now she's a graduate in biomedical sciences. She has having completed her BSc honors in biomedical sciences. But during the coursework that she has done, her degree, she had to do a small research or a study on cancer diagnostics. So the findings were really impressive, and she has been invited by the University of Colombo as the youngest PhD student in molecular biology. So I don't know whether she's the youngest PhD student across all the universities in Sri Lanka, but that is one thing. But that is not what makes Ayesha outstanding. But she's also a professional, trained ramp model, and also a trained Canadian dancer and a classical ballet. So she has excelled in both ways. In fact, when I spoke to her last month, she broke the news that she became the Model of the Year 2025 and also won the Colombo Fashion Week New Face 2024. So that really I think Ayesha is the most recent example for holistic education that OKI, having Cambridge curriculum adopted, has produced in the recent years.
It goes to show how if you don't limit a student to just one path and tell them, oh, you're just a science student or you're just an art student, and give them that
Exactly,
opportunity,
yes.
they can really show their true potential and excel in many avenues. And Mr. Dayan, moving back to you, sometimes impact goes beyond academics. Could you give me an example or us an example of a learner who has thrived holistically, not just through their exam results, but in creativity or leadership?
I could give many examples, and I'm sure the educators here also will have so many examples from their schools. But if I'm to just take the recent example, it would be the head boy in our school. He was a great leader. I believe some of the skills which he learned from the subject, apart from the subject knowledge, the practicality of the Cambridge syllabus would have helped him in that as being a great team player. And he, in his final years, he was the debating captain. He was in the choir. He was a basketball player, and he did Shakespeare drama. The best part was he did not attend any tuition class as well. And finally, at the recent exam results, he got 2 A stars and 2 A's. So which goes to show that children who do these extra activities and who have a sense of belongingness with the other children do well in their studies finally. So it is not only focusing on the academic part, but which is important where children are given the opportunity to do other activities in school as well.
Thank you very much. And looking at future ready learners, Ms. Sarah, in your experience, how does the Cambridge curriculum prepare learners for the world beyond school?
All right. So Cambridge has something of their 5 learner attributes, what they want their students to achieve. And I see that very strongly in the learners that we produce. So if I was to break down how they're prepared for life out, is firstly, Cambridge has a strong academic framework, but in addition to that, they also give a lot of flexibility for our students. So when students come in with that, they learn their theory really well. So they are set for their higher education no matter where they're going, whether they're doing it in Sri Lanka or whether they're going abroad. So that makes them extremely confident learners. So that's the first attribute that I believe. Then if we look at the skills that they learn through the Cambridge curriculum, they don't only do rote learning or learning off their textbooks. There are a lot of skills like problem solving, inquiry, critical thinking, a lot of collaboration, room for teamwork and all of that. So we have students who end up becoming extremely, what shall we say, engaging and innovative problem solvers. And lastly, maybe we could think that the learners that we produce are also independent to an extent where they take ownership of their learning, where they are responsible for themselves. So that makes them reflective and responsible learners. So that I think summarizes the 5 attributes that Cambridge gives to our learners while they're in school and which they take with them to the world outside of our school doors.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Zahra, in terms of looking ahead and the future of education in Sri Lanka, we see that education is changing rapidly, and this was discussed by Mr. Arun as well on AI and changing global demands. Where do you see Cambridge education fitting into the future of Sri Lankan schools and Sri Lankan future?
So like I was saying earlier, we are here to make an impact because it can be done. Given the kind of heritage that we have of an 800-year-old university backing us, there are a lot of things that we can bring to the table. So right now, I am a part of certain teams where we work on AI-based lesson planning for teachers. So the Maldives market is currently going through a pilot. South African market's already gone through a pilot. They're now even going into the extent of chatbots helping teachers. So a lot of these new technological advancements are coming through and they'll be brought into our market. The reason why we've got Rod to Arun to Vinay, all the big shots are here. And this is not going to be the only visit. Rod is definitely not going to wait for 40 more years to come back again. He will come back. All of them will come because this is a very important market to us. And in probably the words of my boss Arun, he believes that we can do so much more in Sri Lanka to help the Sri Lankans. So yes, all the innovations that we have on our side, even things like digital mocks to what I showed on my previous slide, all of that's going to come into the market to help the rest of our educators. I think someone was making reference to India again, but let me tell you, the Indian colleagues are the most innovative. So in the South Asian office, they come up with some super solutions. So very soon we'll also be having Climate Quest launched in Sri Lanka, which is a 3-module certification on climate literacy. So that first came up in the South Asian team led by Arun. We've also got a project called Young Pioneers, which encourages entrepreneurship. Again, from the South Asian office, but that's going to come into Sri Lanka as well. So there's a few things lined up, including making English inclusive and accessible, something we've not yet seen in our market. But once it comes, it'll help the wider market in terms of schools as well as the others.
Entrepreneurship and climate resilience is something that's very important to Sri Lanka with what we are going through as a country, and it's very important that you're bringing it in and starting that program off with those 2 topics. And before we open the floor to questions from the media and everyone else who has joined here, I have one last question for all 4 of you. If you had to describe the impact of Cambridge education in Sri Lanka and the Sri Lankan generation in just one word, what would it be and why? This is a very difficult question.
Opportunities. Opportunity to change your life. In Sri Lankan terms, I would even say poverty to prosperity to the ones who are outside the urban areas maybe, because like we heard, English as a skill, which will enable them to get good paying jobs and opportunities to excel wherever they go.
I would say empowerment. It empowers.
I need to borrow 3 more words and say ready for the world.
Okay.
And I think I will go with transformational, because at the end of the day, our learners are transformed. And when they go out into the world out there, they are not just passing out with academics, but they're passing out with values and mindsets where they can contribute to society. So therefore, I believe transformational is my description of Cambridge education.
Thank you very much, all 4 of you, for highlighting the importance of holistic education and how Cambridge can be a pathway to nurturing curious and resilient learners who can make a real difference in the world. We now open the floor to media or anyone else who have questions for our panelists. So I think we've answered all their questions. It's been a very productive morning for all of us here at Cambridge and all the schools that are represented today. And thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for taking the time off to answer the questions. And yeah, we can end the panel now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I request the panelists and the moderator to remain on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we give a good round of applause for a successful conversation as Cambridge is in Sri Lanka and leading the future. And now it's time to give away tokens of appreciation. And yes, I don't have to invite. She's already on the job. So Zara Ansari will now present tokens of appreciation to the panelists. Thank you very much, Mr. Dan Fernando, Coordinating Principal, Virtual International School, Miss Sarah Hussain, Principal, Ilma International Girls School, Miss Banum Abesekara, Director, Coordinating Principal, OKI International School, and also we would like to thank our moderator, Miss Bhutmi Fernando, Program Coordinator of Bridge to Peace Schools, IJCSE Geography teacher. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And panelists, let's come for a nice group photograph. Nice group photograph. I can see how everyone's in a rush to just finish off and run off, but all right, thank you very much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, to bring the event to a close, I now cordially invite Dhananjaya, the manager marketing. We call him DJ. So DJ, over to you to close the ceremony.
As Cambridge in Sri Lanka, leading the future, event comes to an end. It's a pleasure to stand on this stage today. And I would like to take this moment to thank the senior leadership from Cambridge and all the invitees, including the school leaders, educators, and even the media, for being a part of this milestone event. And in this journey, I would like to express my gratitude here today for all the schools, all the English institutions who are part of Cambridge as of right now. And I would like to take this moment to warmly welcome the others to be a part of Cambridge in Sri Lanka, the legacy of over 800 years across 160 countries with over 10,000 schools, educating nearly 1 million learners. And in that note, I would also like to emphasize the fact that as of right now, Sri Lanka has renewed leadership, the global and South Asian support throughout, and also the global guidance. With that, we will be a force to reckon with. And in that note, once again, thank you all, thank you everyone for being a part of this milestone event, and good afternoon and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dhananjaya. Ladies and gentlemen, with that we mark the end of Cambridge in Sri Lanka, leading the future. It might be the end of this event, but leading the future pathway starts now, starts today with the cooperation of all of you. So let's have a good round of applause one more time to Cambridge in Sri Lanka, and we wish you all the very best, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good afternoon.